361 एएमसी में सेल्स एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन के प्रेसिडेंट अनुनय कुमार जी के साथ अब बात होगी। अनुनय जी के साथ चर्चा नए जमाने, नए प्रोडक्ट और नए तरीकों पर होगी। और मैं अपनी सहयोगी प्रियंका से आग्रह करूंगा कि वो अनुनय कुमार जी को अपने साथ मंच पर लेकर आए। प्रियंका जी, मंच अब आपके हवाले। थैंक यू। एक बार जोरदार तालियों के साथ स्वागत अनुनय जी का।
वेलकम अनुनय, वेलकम टू फाइनेंशियल समिट। थैंक यू सो मच। हमारे साथ जो लोग मौजूद हैं, शुरुआत से लेकर अभी तक मैं कई चेहरे देख रही हूँ। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दैट। हम बात करने वाले हैं अनुनय से, नए ज़माना है और म्यूचुअल फंड कैसे बदल रहा है। क्योंकि हम जिस पॉइंट पर बात कर रहे हैं आपसे अनुनय, बहुत ही हैप्पी मोमेंट है। क्योंकि जनवरी में हमने जो सिप इन्फ्लोज देखा है, सारे रिकॉर्ड को तोड़ दिया। 15,000, 16,000, 17,000, हम 18,000 करोड़ से ऊपर सिप इन्फ्लोज रहा है। रिकॉर्ड एसआईपी फोलियोज ऑलमोस्ट 17 करोड़। सो क्या हुआ है ऐसा कि लोग सिप की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं? इसके पहले कि हम बाद में डिस्कस करेंगे ये भी कि दिक्कत कहाँ है, लेकिन पहले तो इट्स टाइम टू सेलिब्रेट।
या थैंक यू, नमस्कार सभी को। आई थिंक यस, यू सेड इट राइट, बट वेल वी आर getting happy about the number 19,000 crores, but what we haven't understood, despite this number being 19,000, we haven't yet gone into double digit on our savings penetration. Globally अगर हम देखते हैं तो almost 30 to 35% जो book है आपकी हाउस होल्ड सेविंग की पेनिट्रेटेड है कैपिटल मार्केट को। इंडिया अभी भी सिंगल डिजिट पे है। आई थिंक जो मुहिम हमने चालू की थी कि म्यूचुअल फंड ज़रूरी है, एंड थैंक्स टू आवर पार्टनर्स ऑन द फिनटेक साइड, आज हम एक वी आर एबल टू बिल्ड अ रीच, एंड ऑल दैट यू आर नोटिसिंग टुडे is nothing but an awareness that's getting built up, and people are now acknowledging that there is a world beside the traditional way of creating wealth, which used to be the real assets, gold, properties, or fixed deposits. And I think that is where the world is now transiting. India भी काफी अग्रसर हो रहा है, and capital market is now becoming one of the alternatives for the investment.
लेकिन आपने जैसे कहा समस्या है क्योंकि अभी भी कैपिटल मार्केट का रुख नहीं कर रहे हैं। क्योंकि अगर हम यूनिक इन्वेस्टर्स की बात करें तो वो ऑलमोस्ट 4 करोड़ को बस पार ही किया है। यूनिक इन्वेस्टर्स यानी कि जब हम बात कर रहे हैं 17 करोड़ फोलियोज, तो ये है कि भाई मैं 10 सिप कर रही होंगी, आप 10 कर रहे होंगे, कुछ 5 कर रहे होंगे, वो सबको मिला करके होते हैं। तो वो अभी भी यूनिक इन्वेस्टर्स के नंबर पे हम स्टक हैं। और हम बात ये भी कर रहे थे कि कैसे लोग शायद ऑनलाइन खाना ऑर्डर करने वालों की तादाद ज़्यादा है, कार खरीदने वालों की तादाद ज़्यादा है, पर सिप करने वालों की तादाद कम है। तो यहाँ एक चुनौती भी है।
लेट्स नॉट फॉरगेट द वेरी फैक्ट कि अगर आप शहर से बाहर निकलते हैं टॉप 30 सिटीज़ से और लोगों से पूछेंगे कि इन्वेस्टमेंट कर रहे हो क्या, बोलते नहीं हम इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं करते, हम सिप करते हैं। सो लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड कि हम कहाँ से निकल कर आए हैं। आज भी लोग म्यूचुअल फंड नहीं समझते बट एसआईपी समझते हैं। वो आज भी समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं कि दुनिया कैसे आगे बढ़ रही है। सो व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट कंपेयरिंग आवरसेल्व्स विद द ज़ोमैटोज ऑफ द वर्ल्ड और स्विगीज ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट कार देखोज ऑफ द वर्ल्ड और टॉक अबाउट द कार सेल्स, प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड दे ऑल हैव कम विद अ बैकड्रॉप ऑफ अ लेगेसी, and as much as the legacy is favoring them, so is it adverse to the capital market. आप बहुत मुश्किल है लोगों को समझा पाना कि रियल एसेट्स ने जब पैसा बना के दिया है तो उन पैसों में तब बने हैं जब आपने एक कंसिडरेबल टाइम भी दिया है उनको। आज भी लोगों की सोच गोल्ड और प्रॉपर्टी से बाहर निकलने में वक्त लग रहा है। सो व्हेन वी लुक एट इट, देयर आर टू वेज टू लुक, वन इज अ ग्लास हाफ एम्प्टी एंड अ ग्लास हाफ फुल। आई वुड स्टिल कंसिडर इट अ ग्लास हाफ फुल. I'm glad that we have come to a level when we can proudly say 19,000 crores are coming only in the form of SIPs, and doesn't matter whether FPIs are in or not. Yes. The markets are able to hold themselves firm and strong.
Okay, now tell me, आपने कहा कि भाई this is a, I totally say कि you guys have done a remarkable job, you know. लोग ये नहीं कहते इन्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ कि तुम सिप कर रहे हैं, ये समझाना वो डिफरेंशिएट नहीं करते, सिप एक जरिया है निवेश करने का. अब बात करते हैं कि नया क्या हो रहा है म्यूचुअल फंड में, आप क्या देख रहे हैं. हमने देखा धड़ाधड़ नई स्कीम्स आ रही हैं, नए एनएफओज आ रहे हैं और 3 नई कंपनियों ने कदम रखा इस साल. अभी हम साल के शुरुआत पे बैठे हैं और भी नई कंपनियां रुक करेंगी. नया क्या हो रहा है म्यूचुअल फंड कंपनी में ऐसा जो लोगों को ट्रेडिशनल इन्वेस्टमेंट यानी प्रॉपर्टी और गोल्ड से हटा के उन्हें कहे कि भाई तुम आओ और यहाँ सिप करो.
आई थिंक नए में सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट बात ये हो रही है कि जब हम कंपनियों की बात करते नए जुड़ रहे हैं तो नई कंपनियों के साथ नए थॉट प्रोसेस जुड़ते हैं और नई आइडियाज जुड़ती हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल आप we have always been talking about investing into the companies where your equity allocations are towards 70, 80 and whatever. But did we ever notice that there is a product where you can still have a 50 on an equity, 50 on a debt and yet can make money? I'm talking about something like a balanced hybrid fund, which we were the first fund house to launch it. Now this is so good for the people who haven't yet got a courage to move into equities with full throttled approach, or do not want to even miss out investing into this product. Now this is quite a balanced approach, 50 equity, 50 debt, stay put for 3 years and look, the money can still be made. So convention से हट के इंडस्ट्री जो है अब उन चीज़ों पे भी आ रही है जहाँ पे लगता है कि now we need to go a little beyond. Industry is graduating into finding solutions more than a product. We are still at a very early stage. If you look at globally, this segment is in a decent double digit. I'm talking about solutions alone. We are talking about smart betas, where you don't have to take a nifty hugging or an index hugging approach. You can still cherry pick what you feel is better within the index and yet be passive. So industry काफी graduate कर रही है, I'm sure, and with the new houses joining in, with the new ideas coming in, I think it's only one way that we are looking.
You just spoke about passive. So I want to know, year 2023 was the year of small caps. Now, year 2024, what I am seeing, a lot of NFOs focusing on index and passive funds and ETFs. So will 2024 will be the year of passive investing, index funds?
I think this argument can always remain, which is active versus passive. My take is, India still is at a stage जहाँ पे active को आप ignore नहीं कर सकते. We still have an active alpha which is available. Betas, or I would say that smart betas, are the space that will start catching attention. Why? Because what are we? We are close to 52 lakh crores today. 52 lakh crore with a 7% penetration into your household saving. Assuming this number doubles up, we graduate to what, 100 lakh crores? As we graduate to a number which is making even a more meaningful sense, one thing is clear that actives will, to create alphas in the active, would become that much more difficult. And hence the passive will have a role to play. So I don't think it's ever a story of either or. It will always remain a story with a conjunction and.
Yes.
I think the larger question should be small cap, mid cap versus large cap. If that's something that you are hinting at, then let me tell you, undoubtedly everything is looking a little expensive, but but extent of exuberance that one could see in a small and mid cap is slightly higher. And hence, mean reversions will always have a role to play. And so we it over here as well. But then, that's the job of a managers whom you are trusting your money. Believe you me, as much as you are concerned, so are they. And they will ensure that they will do the right pickings and your monies will only, wealth creation will always be the case.
So what are the sectors that mutual fund, or the themes that mutual fund industry is looking at this year, and given very volatile markets we've seen, so what is your take on the equity and what are the sectors that you think you guys are looking at sort of?
So let's look at where the values are. We like specialty chemicals a lot. All the China factor, the gluttonous on the supply side and all of that seems getting addressed pretty well. We like the agri-related stories because the monsoon wasn't so great last year. And obviously it had its own impact both on the discretionary and a non-discretionary side. So pretty much looking promising now. The sense that we are getting is that this year's monsoon is going to be better. If that happens, then obviously discretionary, non-discretionary on the spendings would look pretty good. Specialty chemical looks good. And let's not ignore the largest component of our index, which is banking or the NBFCs. To me, with the capex looking pretty close to 75, 76, and capacity utilization, which would mean that a capex cycle is kicking in, that can only mean a good credit offtake happening. All of it would only mean further that a banking as a sector should do well. So I think it's a combination of all of them together.
I didn't see any mention of IT. Unka time आएगा या नहीं आएगा?
Madam, आ रहा है. I'm sure आपने results देखे होंगे. Results aren't disappointing. They are coming. But let's not forget that we have certainly graduated from a service-oriented economy to service plus manufacturing-oriented economy. And that's a huge, we're talking about real assets now. I think let's give kudos to all of us for that.
Two very important things which 2024 we are looking at is, one is our general elections. That is going to change the mood and sort of, there are a lot of, action in the market. Second, the interest rates, okay? So how are you looking at these two events of this year?
Very difficult to, honestly, very difficult to comprehend on the stuffs where the variables are multi. I would resist commenting on the elections and all, but to me, it's like when you have been able to overcome the inertia, और एक बार आप जब momentum में आ जाते हैं, तो doesn't matter whether which government is in, because you are on a growth path. What can probably happen, the pace can hasten or a pace can slow. But someone to say the pace will go away, I don't think we are in that bucket anymore. So it doesn't matter. As far as interest rate cycle goes, I think, yes, there are enough signs which is getting done, which is getting seen from the global side, that, yes, the rate cuts looks pretty much favorable one as an instance. If that happens, obviously, we will be also participating in that.
So is this the right time to choose debt funds, because they were really ignored due to the change in the taxation, and now people look at debt fund only as a short-term investment. All the experts on my show keeps talking about liquid funds या फिर ultra short funds में छोटे समय का पैसा डालिए, So you think debt funds में अभी निवेश करने का, अभी lock करने का interest rate में जो मिल रहा है उसमें फायदा होगा?
Do we really invest in debt because of taxation, or we invest in debt because of asset allocation? If debt investment is also a part of your asset allocation, doesn't matter whether taxations are doing whatever. Yes, from a timing perspective, if we are carrying the view that we should see a benign interest rate cycle kicking in, then obviously that would make sense because the duration is also going to contribute. And more importantly, the yield that you could see today may not be the yield of tomorrow. So from that perspective, duration and an yield, I think, yes, one should look at. And doesn't matter whichever way you would want to look at it, asset allocation version would always say that debt should be a part of the portfolio.
Okay, so asset allocation, we come back to the basic. I think asset allocation is the key for every retail investor. And so what would you want to, tell the Indian investors who is still sitting on the fence and thinking कि करना है या नहीं करना है? And we will close this session with your answer.
Listen, I don't think that we have a choice. It's not a question of a choice. It's a question to what extent you want to move in with. Do you want to come up with an equity being 100%, 50%, 75 or a 50? To me, the best set of people who are going to advise you are your advisors. Why? Because allocation to equity is a function of your profiling, your time horizon, your risk appetite, and the returns expectation. So there is no one thumb rule which should say this is a best fit for you. Your advisors are the best men who can actually guide you well. But for someone to say that you should be completely avoiding or ignoring this asset class, I don't think that's the right way to look at it. Until and unless there is some reasons which is as advised by your advisors you shouldn't be in, that's a different one. Otherwise, yep, you shouldn't be ignoring it for long.
So I think करना है, लेकिन कितना करना आपको अपने risk appetite के हिसाब से डिसाइड करना है, लेकिन निवेश तो करना है। थैंक यू सो मच अनुनय, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दिस कॉन्वर्सेशन।
थैंक यू प्रियंका, धन्यवाद अनुनय जी। एक बार तालियां हो जाए अनुनय जी के लिए फिर से।